Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Micah. You guys are rocking with me on Micah's Intellectual Corner. On today's science reaction, we're going to be doing a Vsauce reaction. I think today's mistakes, which I'm not 100% sure if it's like a science one, but it's definitely going to make us think, I'm pretty sure. So with that being said, guys, also I wanted to say I started this new thing to where, you know, if I have to do more editing and stuff on one day and I'm not able to put out a video on that day, I decided to go ahead and at least do a shorts on that day. And I wish you guys can see, I went ahead and did another playlist for it called Today in History. With that being said, I hope you guys enjoy the videos. Alright guys, let's just get right into it.
Hey, Vsauce, Michael here. The title of this video is misspelled in honor of mistakes. Mistakes are everywhere. They surround us like air. To err is human. Faults, flaws, faux pas, fumbles, and fallacies are as much a part of who we are today as the stuff we've gotten right. For instance, if a knight knocked your knuckle or knifed your knee, why would there be so many K's? Well, the K's are silent by mistake. The original Old English forms of these words were pronounced with k sounds: knife, knight, knee. But that's a bit of a mouthful to say, and because reading and writing weren't as common hundreds of years ago, people just pronounced words the way they wanted to regardless of spelling.
I also kind of feel like maybe, you know, how kind of the English language is kind of a hodgepodge of different languages, like, you know, some Latin's pulled here, you know, just from all over the place, really. And, you know, with that being said, you know, there might have been a lot of loss in translation things, you know, maybe, I don't know. Plus, exactly like how he was saying, there might be a huge, you know, decline in literacy and things like that. But with that being said, I do like his explanation too. Let's go ahead and get back into it, guys.
People just pronounced words the way they wanted to regardless of spelling. Spelling is fun. Warren G knows what I'm talking about. In the 4th verse of his What's Next, he asks, what's next? What's next? What's N-X-E-T? Spelling isn't the only thing we get wrong. The history of science is a graveyard of dead and abandoned ideas. Fritz Machlup coined the phrase half-life of knowledge, the amount of time it takes for half of the knowledge within a field to be superseded by new, better ideas or to simply be shown.
That's pretty true, because I mean, if you think about it, like 100 years ago, they were, or not even 100 years ago, 50 years ago, 30 years ago, we were thinking, you know, dinosaurs were looking more like reptiles, where now today they're thinking more, they look like, you know, they had feathers and stuff like that. They're speculating. And, you know, again, that could go with other things like, you know, 100 years ago, they thought that people in, you know, different races of people had, you know, these huge differences in our, you know, biology and our, you know, what makes us up, you know, our genome and stuff. And in reality, we're all pretty much like 99 to 98% alike, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, just different things are always changing, you know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. Different things are always changing. So who knows what it'll look like in 30, 50 years. Shit. It's kind of crazy to think about, but let's go ahead and get back into Vsauce.
To be superseded by new, better ideas or to simply be shown untrue. Donald Hebb famously estimated that the half-life of knowledge in psychology is just 5 years. Humans are awesome, don't get me wrong, but we tend to believe that what we currently think we know about the universe is reasonably correct, even though statistics aren't on our side. Previous generations incorrectly thought the exact same thing about what they used to think was true. My favorite examples of the ubiquity of mistakes are production errors in popular songs. They're like humbling Easter eggs just waiting to be found. For instance, Buffalo Springfield's For What It's Worth. 26 seconds in, the B in the lyric Beware is clipped, as is the P in People at a minute 24. Once you hear the mistake, it's tough to unhear it. In Hey Jude, Paul McCartney misses a chord, and if you listen closely, you can clearly hear him say, "F***ing hell." Seriously, it's in the actual song. Go listen to it. In fact, there's an entire website that chronicles.
Well, that definitely makes me feel a lot better about my videos on here on YouTube, especially my early videos on here. You know, there's lots of editing mistakes, rookie mistakes, I guess you can say, but definitely makes me feel better. Let's just go and get back.
In the actual song. Go listen to it. In fact, there's an entire website that chronicles mistakes in Beatles songs. Take a look at this 700-year-old prayer book. A monk wrote it on fresh, clean paper. I'm kidding, of course. He scraped the ink off an older manuscript, cut the pages, and rotated them before writing all over them. A mistake? Well, kind of. Recent multispectral images of the prayer book have revealed that the old manuscript he erased was a previously unknown copy of a work by Archimedes. It was called The Method and laid out the heart of calculus thousands of years before Newton and Leibniz. If that one monk hadn't erased that one book, would we be hundreds, thousands of years mathematically and technologically more?
You know, that is a really huge monumental mistake, you know, that without being said. But with that being said, can you imagine with all the people, all the different people that have ever lived, in the world, how many of them have actually, had an idea that could have furthered us as a civilization into the future, and it either wasn't good in their region, or so it didn't pick up, or maybe they just died with it. You know what I'm saying? Never told anybody. Let's get back.
Hadn't erased that one book, would we be hundreds, thousands of years mathematically and technologically more advanced today than we currently are? It's hard to say. All that is certain is that we would continue to make ridiculous mistakes, like the Mars Climate Orbiter. This $327.6 million expedition burned up in the red planet's atmosphere because when calculating flight maneuvers, NASA used the agreed-upon metric units, while Lockheed Martin used the imperial system.
Sure, I said this in a comment of mine in one of my videos before, but I'm pretty sure I said, in a sense, that pretty much if we as a civilization, as a world civilization, want to be able to get to that, type 1, type 2, type 3 civilization, I feel like we all have to be able to adapt one world type of way of essentially living. That means us getting rid of the imperial system, switching over to a metric, because it is a better way of measurements and stuff like that, and that way things like this doesn't happen. But I don't think things like that happen anymore anyway. But let's get back into it, guys.
While Lockheed Martin used the imperial system. This is Neil Armstrong taking humankind's first steps on the moon. It's about the best footage we have. The original tapes containing the highest quality recording of that moment have been lost. They were probably recorded over by later test missions. 10 years ago, Sergio Martinez became lost in the woods while hunting outside of San Diego. Hoping to attract the attention of rescuers, he lit a small fire. But that fire quickly got out of control and became a giant cedar fire. It destroyed 300,000 acres of land, 2,322 homes, and killed 15 people. The man...
That's really sad, but at the end of the day, you kind of can't blame him, because I understand where he was coming from, but yeah, that's why if you do crazy things, you always gotta, have a backup plan, not setting fires. Let's get back into it, guys.
The man carrying a wounded soldier in this painting, based on a photograph taken during World War I, is Henry Tandy, an English recipient of the Victoria Cross. 4 years after the event in this image, Tandy caught a wounded German soldier in his gun sights, but rather than kill the man, Tandy took pity on his wounded state and spared his life. The German he allowed to live was this man. Later, the man whose life he spared wore his mustache shorter, but still had the same name, Adolf Hitler. In 1918, did Henry Tandy miss a chance to kill Hitler? Detailed research has found that the exact days their units were in the same location don't quite match up. The story is apocryphal, but what is known is that Hitler owned a copy of the painting of Tandy. And in 1938, when meeting with Neville Chamberlain, Hitler pointed to Tandy and told Chamberlain, "That man came so close to killing me in 1918 that I thought I should never see Germany again." So, who's wrong? Maybe Hitler confirmed the story merely because he hoped to make up extra evidence that Providence had kept him alive to pursue his goals.
I mean, you gotta think, there were millions of soldiers in World War I. So the chances of him thinking that, that man in the painting about things was the man that he saw that was pointing a gun at him, probably wasn't it. Not to say that didn't happen. I'm pretty sure he did have a gun pointed at him. It just probably wasn't that dude. Just saying.
Because he hoped to make up extra evidence that Providence had kept him alive to pursue his goals. Either way, someone is mistaken. Missed opportunities are a bummer. Obsessing over them is not healthy, but regret is a powerful emotion. How do you deal with regret?
Personally, I think growing from our mistakes and doing, especially, things differently as, the exact same almost situation comes up again later up in life, doing things differently and when that happens, I think honestly helps with healing from it and stuff so that you can kind of get your mind away from it. But it definitely is always, I feel like, on your mind. But let's get back into it, guys.
How do you deal with regret, with guilt? Can you? In the early morning hours on a bench outside a hotel in Anaheim this summer, Zay Frank told me something I am going to paraphrase. I love this metaphor. Stuff in your past is like a carving on the bark of a sapling. Over time, the scar, the carving, won't go away. Because of the way trees grow, it won't go up or down much either. It'll just stay right where it began. It might even get darker. But it won't get bigger. You, however, can. You can keep growing, doing more things, more branches, being more things. The wound won't get smaller, but you can make it a smaller part of who you are. Maybe regrets are like that. They stick around forever like arbor glyphs. Or maybe they make like a tree and leaf, a red or purple leaf in the autumn. As days get shorter and chlorophyll production decreases, the yellow and orange carotenoids, which are always in leaves, appear as the green fades. But red and purple leaves are the interesting ones. As winter approaches, it would seem to be a good time for trees to conserve energy, but some trees do the opposite. Instead of giving up, they spend extra energy producing anthocyanins to turn their leaves red and purple hues. These colors protect their leaves from sun damage before their nutrients can all be used, and may also be a defense against insects.
We actually have a whole bunch of those over here in Colorado. I'm not 100% sure what they're all called, but I do know that especially if you're going out on the mountains, they have a whole bunch of red and I think even some purple leaves out there. I know, especially if you're driving out there in the fall, if you like a really good sunny day, you might see like an entire mountain face that's all red and yellow and stuff. It's really pretty. Definitely suggest checking it out if you guys are ever in the area. But let's get going.
All be used, and may also be a defense against insects looking for a parasitic home. A way for the tree to tell the insects, yes, I am in part dying, but not without a fight. I am still very much vital. Drought and even tourniquets applied by man can bring about these colors prematurely. When you look at beautiful autumn colors, you are looking at stress. But the bigger the fight the trees put up, the more energy they put into their defenses at the very end, the more brilliant their colors will be. Winter will eventually come, but scientifically, the brightest, deepest, most remarkable colors come from not giving up too easily or quickly. And as always, thanks for watching.
Alright guys, thank you guys again for joining me on today's episode of Micah's Intellectual Corner. I do appreciate you guys coming with me and joining me on these videos. They're very fun to make. And as I say to you again, I'm trying to make my everything better for you guys so that the overall experience is a lot better for you guys. So if I have to skip a day, I might have to skip a day, but if I do, I'll put a short of my very own creation. I hope you guys like it, but it will always be a today in history type of short, so it won't ever be any type of selfish type of content. I know you guys don't care about me, but anyway, with that being said, thank you guys for joining me on today's episode. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. That being said, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace!